So hello and welcome friends to our channel Intro Mech, where we discuss about basic mechanical engineering concepts. So guys, conveyors are very important whenever we do some material handling or let's say some automation. So they have wide use in the automation industry, and that's why we should know what are the basics of conveyors, what are the different types, how to select the conveyors, and how the motor is selected for the conveyor. So we will cover all these topics in the upcoming session. Today we will just focus on what are the selection parameters that are required to be considered. So without wasting time, let's get started. So these are the parameters that are required to be considered. So you can see the product specifications, then accumulation requirements, guide rails, washdown requirements, environmental conditions, product transfer requirements, and incline decline requirements. So we have to think about all these parameters while selecting the type, the size of the conveyor. So let's check out these parameters one by one. So first one is the product specification. Now we have different things that we should consider under this, like product dimension. Now when we say product dimension, we should know which product we are using for the conveyors, what is its length, width, height, then what is the product weight. So this also is very important factor, and that is directly connected to the motor sizing. So we should know what is the weight of the product, then what is the production rate. Now this is a important parameter, and that is also connected to the length and your size of the conveyor, because depending on your production rate, what is the waiting time and what should be the length of the conveyor, whether it should be accumulating time or start stop time. So all these parameters are dependent, and that's why we should know the production rate. And then comes the product type. Now there are different types of product, like let's say this is a box, then we can have a bottle, we can have some pouch. So all these parameters have different shapes, material size, and they behave in a different manner. So according to the product type also, we should select the conveyor. So whenever we try to find out some conveyor, we first should know what are the requirements of our design, what is our product, what is its weight, or what type of product it is. Now let's check out the second parameter, which is accumulation requirements. Now as we discussed earlier, we should know what is the production rate, how the automation line is there, whether there is a waiting zone or not. Now waiting zone is sometimes considered as a safety or a buffer zone, because in order to meet the production rates, and there should not be any necking zone should form. But we should know that whether we want this or not, because if we consider the accumulation, we should select the conveyor accordingly, because the load will be there on the conveyor. So how much accumulation is there, for how much length accumulation is there. So all these parameters are important. So let's see the third parameter, which is guide rails. Now guide rails are useful in order to guide the product on our conveyors. So they are not always required, but they ensure the space between the rails allow the product to be conveyed where it is desired. Now while having this guide rails, we should know what is the direction of our conveyor, whether it is a straight, it is going in some curve shape, or it is having some 90-degree bends, because the guide rail can cause some problems if we have some curves in our conveyor line. So that's how we should think about the guide rails. Then we have wash down requirements. Now this is kind of a requirement in many of the industries, depending like let's say chemical industries or dairies, that we require wash down. So in wash down we have, let's say, water, then cleaning chemicals, then conveyor construction. So when we wash the conveyors with the help of water, we should be confident that the motor selected is IP protected. So that is how it these considerations come into picture. As let's say you have to design the conveyor for say dairy, and where there is a frequent wash down of the conveyor, so the motor which you have selected should be IP67. Then the cleaning chemicals can affect your belt material. Let's say you have a belt conveyor, so they can affect your belt material, and that's why you should know that whether your conveyor is going to be in some hazardous environment. And then the conveyor construction, whether you want a welded frames or a removable type of construction. So depending on the shape and size and availability of the uh, layout, we should consider these things. Then we have environmental conditions. Now uh, these things are dependent on the process. Now let's say you have a conveyor and you are designing the conveyor for a part in which there is a metal part, and let's say it is a hollow. So it might happen that it has some burr inside the part which go into your motor and cause some problem. So depending on the environmental conditions, we have to consider the conveyors. Then we have product transfer requirements. So this is also very important requirement, as let's say we have gravity rollers or dead plates, power transfers, or side to side transfer. So in many applications we require some pad system in order to transfer the material, let's say from one degree to another degree, or one distance to another distance. So we have to think about this. So let's say if we are transferring a 24-inch case from a roller conveyor to roller conveyor, then transfer may not be needed. But let's say if we are transferring a 5-inch diameter roll of a tape from a plastic conveyor to plastic chain conveyor, then due to the short footprint of the product, we may need some transfer system. So that's how it is important to know the product for which you are designing the conveyor, for which you are selecting the conveyor. And then last is we have incline and decline requirements. Now depending on the layout in the shop floor, the conveyors can be inclined to some angles, and that affect a lot the load on the conveyors, because if we have a 24-inch square case which is weighing, let's say, 40 pounds and will not inclined at 80 degrees on standard slider bed style of conveyor, so in that case we will require some spiral conveyor. So if you design the conveyor and you don't know that how the inclination or declination is affecting the system, then it will be a wrong selection. So that's why we should know that whether the conveyor is straight or it is at some angle, and all these parameters are required. So this is about all the selection parameters of conveyors, and these questions we should ask ourselves, and we should have these data ready with us, so that it becomes easier for us to select the type of conveyor, because there are n number of conveyors. We have belt type, chain type, roller type. Again, in belt also we have different types. So we will see what are these types of conveyors and how to get some 3D data of these conveyors in the upcoming session. So that's it, guys, for our today's session, and if you have any doubts, please do write into the comment section. Until then, keep intro making. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.